So we are going to be adding some regular expressions to the classes that we've created with annotations. And the first one we're going to add one to is our client. And this is for email. And where is email? It would be right here. Email is required, so we have that already. And we have email, so in between is where we're going to put the regular expression. And I am allowing you guys to copy this. Then I'm going to save this also in the client. This is going to be for first name and state. So we're going to add this regular expression to both first name and state. So right above first name, I'll paste, and then right above state. And we'll do a little save all. Next step is migrations. And before I can actually do them, I have to modify SPA context because now I have two more classes that I want converted into tables. And honestly, what I normally do is just kind of copy and paste what's there and modify it. So I have client. I have my client class, and for the table, I want it to be called clients. And then I have a client service class, and I want it called client services. And just so that I have some data to work with, after those tables are created, I am going to seed them. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. And if you remember, when you seed values, like we're doing, it kind of ignores the identity column because both of these tables, the primary key is going to be an identity column because I created them as integer, and that is the default. But when you seed these, it ignores that. So you actually have to give it a key value. So at this point, let me save everything, and I'm going to run a build. And one more reminder, with the seed value, if you have a table with foreign keys, like client services, those primary key tables have to be added first. So I have to add client and I have to have services before I can do client services because it's using the primary key values from those tables. So I ran the build, it worked. Now I am going to run migrations. So I'm going to go into the Package Manager console. And I'm not even sure if the database exists still, so this should work. I'm going to do an add migration, and I'm going to call it client and annotations. And now I'm going to update database. And looks like that works. So I'm going to come over here and just verify. And it's always a good idea to look up. I have a lot of databases, so I'm going to quick look up the name of this particular database, Zen Spa. Okay, nice and short. And here it is. So I have my new client. I have my client services. And I'm checking this for the keys so I can see my foreign keys are defined. And yes, it does look like everything was created correctly. So we'll go back into the Solution Explorer. And we are going to use the scaffolding feature to generate a controller and views for both client and client services. So I'm going to right click on controllers, add and new scaffolded item. I do want MVC controllers with views using Entity Framework. And I'm going to select my class, which is client. Going to use the spa context. And down here, I am going to get rid of the S. So it just says client controller. And now I'm going to do one for client services. Oops, that's not what I wanted. And I want the views using Entity Framework, controller and views. And this is client services. And I'm going to change the name down here, get rid of the S. So at this point, I've got a controller for the client and the client service. I've got views for both as well. And what I need to do is add a menu item that will go to the index for each one. So I'm going to go into shared and layout. And the menu item, it doesn't really matter where you put it. Okay, it's kind of up to you. I'm going to copy these two. And I think I'm going to throw it in here right after customer inquiry. But like I said, totally up to you where you decide to put it. Does not matter. And so I'm going to do the client first. So the controller is client. And I want to go to index. And I'll call it client list. And then for my second one, if I look at my controllers, it's called client service. and index is where I want to go. And I'll just call this client service list. Now there is a little adjustment that we need to make up here because now we have so many menu items that having that container for the menu is not going to work. We need to change it to container fluid. So up here where it says container, you're just going to change it to container-fluid because that'll make it expand. It'll allow those menu items to expand the full width of your screen. So let's save it. Let's run a build. And we're going to execute this thing. So here is the lovely Zen Spa. So we have our customer inquiry, which actually we don't want. I want my client list. Now, in real life, would I include this stuff here? Probably not. I would go into the index view and remove some of this. However, I probably would not include this too, unless this was internal and only managers could see it. But for what you guys need to do, it's fine. So client service list is listing the services, the date of the service, and the client. Would I list it like this? I would probably change it so that the name of the service was listed instead of the number, but we've done that in the past, and there's no need for you guys to do that today. So just getting this working is good. That's really all you have to do. You should take note that it did pull in those display names that we specified. And I'm going to go ahead and close out of here.